Run, river, run, run through the hills. Run, river, run to the sea. Run, river, run to your place beneath the sun. Run, river, run over me.
Hi, this is Jan Lewis. Welcome to Be My Guest. Today we have Dr. Mary Ellen Rancourt with us, and she is a audiologist, and she's now in South Grafton off of 122A. We're going to talk about, if you know where Colette Motors is, she's right in that little, plaza right there. And her company is called Hear Joy Audiology. And that says it all. When you can hear, I know my husband and I go back and forth, what? Sometimes the hearing aids don't always help. Welcome, Mary.
Thank you.
When did you get into this?
As an undergraduate speech major, I went into my Audiology 101 course and decided I liked it a whole lot better.
Yeah.
So I got an undergraduate in speech and hearing, got a master's in audiology in 1990, and then got my doctorate 2006.
Where did you grow up?
I grew up in New Jersey. So I grew up in Somerset, New Jersey. I went to Rutgers, and then I went to UConn. And then eventually made my way to Boston to work at Mass Pioneer.
Oh, you did? You worked there?
I was there for a couple of years. Then I went to a private practice in South Weymouth. I worked at Children's in Waltham and Women and Infants in Providence, and for 2 hearing aid companies.
Did you ever go to UMass? They have a wonderful audiology. They'd love to have you, I'm sure. They're terrific. They're the closest thing around here we have to Boston. But we have a Dana-Farber up the street branch, which is good.
Oh, that is
so
nice.
people don't have to travel to Boston, thank God.
Yeah. No, I did actually talk with UMass at one point, and the timing just didn't work out. But
you'd love it there. Boy, is that an upbeat hospital. Whoa, you got a medical school, research, life flight. It's all right there. And the atmosphere is, I can't explain it.
It's vivacious. It's a very alive lobby when you walk in.
Yeah, it's not the old school type of hospital. No.
It's hard to do the old school thing anymore.
No, and if they ask you how you are, they mean it.
Yeah.
They really do. Now, Mary Ellen, again, it's on 122A in South Grafton. You're in that little plaza just past Colette's.
Correct.
Colette Motors. If you're watching from out of the country, you don't know what we're talking about. But when I saw the article about you, which paper were you featured in?
It was the Blackstone Valley Express, and then also the Grafton News is doing an article. I don't know if that one came out yet.
I don't
Maybe
know.
not.
I get that Express every time it comes out. I get it.
Yeah.
It's a wonderful thing for meeting people. Let me tell you. Now, you've been there how long?
We opened July 1st.
Oh.
So I moved into the space June 1st, and we opened July 1st.
How'd you get the word out?
It was a lot of the small newspapers, so the Blackstone Valley Express, the Blackstone Valley Tribune, the Uxbridge Times. We got into the different small papers. We did the website. We did the search engine optimization, Facebook page. And a lot of it was letting friends of mine know where I was. So people that had referred to me in the past.
Yeah.
So, you're not allowed to bring patients with you. The ads go out. They see you. Like, hey, did anybody know where Mary Ellen went? So my name was sort of passed down and around, and kind of getting the word out that way.
You can't bring patients with you?
No, it's not legal to actually bring patients from your old practice.
Wait a minute. Okay.
If you're not on it. If you don't own it. So I was an employee. So when you leave a practice, you leave your caseload behind.
Okay, now you're the boss.
Now I'm the owner.
Are you excited?
I am. I'm really enjoying it. I've directed audiology departments before, and in hospitals it gets very complicated because so many people have a say in everything. And sometimes you get a little frustrated, and it's like, I just kind of want to do my own thing.
Yeah.
And I worked for 2 hearing aid companies, as a trainer or a troubleshooter, I would go out and help people with weird hearing aid issues that nobody could fix. But I also got to know the business owners and my colleagues well, and they would share their stories of what worked, what didn't work. I'd get little ideas. I actually kept a little journal, that was a really good idea.
Yeah.
And then finally it was like, I'm going to do my own thing. It's sort of now or never.
Yeah.
And my husband looked at me one day and he goes, "This is crazy, just do it." And we went to Unibank and figured the whole thing out.
He must be proud of you.
He is. He enjoys it. So he wears hearing aids.
Oh, you're a gold mine for him. That's great.
Well, we always joke about, there was an old Mike Myers movie called So I Married an Axe Murderer, and we joke that we're going to do a video series, So I Married an Audiologist. Yeah. On our second date, it was that awkward moment of, how do you say to somebody you need a hearing aid? Oh. Nice to meet you, you need a hearing aid. And he finally was like, he rolled his eyes, it's like, I guess I don't hear well. And it took me a while to get hearing aids on him. The reason the office is named Hear Joy is because of him.
Because he felt joyous after he finally was able to hear.
He had his hearing aids on one day last year before we opened the business, and I'm like, what am I going to call it? And he's out in the yard, and he's standing there like this. And just like this, whoa. And I'm like, what are you doing? He's like, I'm listening to the birds. This is awesome. And he reaches up and he takes his hearing aids out, and he goes, nothing.
Why are hearing aids not covered on insurance, and why are they so expensive? This is a ripoff for people. What is this, a scam?
So there are two things here. So as you've already said, I have a doctorate. You know, early on it was master's. It went to the doctorate because there's so much knowledge involved between balance and, you know, cognition and mental status. And there's so much more involved than just plopping a hearing aid on somebody. So a hearing aid is a tool in my toolbox. It's not what I primarily do. It's one of the tools in my toolbox. There have been people, there are other professions where that's all they do.
Yeah.
And because of that, there's the focus on the widget. It's not about the widget. It's about the person who's fitting the widget on you.
The widget, what is the widget?
The hearing aid.
That's, okay, they call it
The
that.
gadget, the hearing aid. So the hearing aid is, it's only as good as the person who fits it.
Right.
It's only as good as the test that was done to fit it. So because they've been sold in stores, there's this attitude that it's not a medical device. It legally is a medical device. Insurance companies for years have called it cosmetic, and in the wise words of the parent of one of my little patients, yeah, because I really want to put a hearing aid on my baby. It's cosmetic. It's changing. So in Massachusetts, we have a mandate for under the age of 18.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at the cost per covered life, it's actually quite low to cover hearing aids. But somebody has to go down to their employer, go to HR, and tell them that you want it covered. It is a checkbox. So unless you go to HR and say, could we please do something about hearing aids, HR doesn't think about it, and they don't look for the checkbox on the form. So when they sign up with Blue Cross, it's literally a box that they check, hearing aid coverage.
But what about the average person who maybe isn't working at a corporation right now? How would they get that thing and check the boxes?
That is about their policies. So frankly, some of these insurance companies that are offering these different plans, some of them are a little questionable. So you have to be careful. Blue Cross has a discount program that's actually good. They do it right. There are some other ones out there that they do a good job of it. They're, you know, online hearing aid sales or mail order hearing aids have been illegal in Massachusetts since the 90s. I wrote the law. Because there are consumer protection issues.
Yeah.
If you buy your hearing aid from out of state, nobody has jurisdiction.
Oh.
So if you have a consumer protection issue, nobody has jurisdiction. You want to buy it, you know, either in a nearby state, you know, Rhode Island, New Hampshire, or within Massachusetts. But if you're buying over the computer, nobody can go after them.
No.
The Massachusetts State Attorney General can't go after them because they're not here. So we're licensed in Massachusetts to do what we do. We're insured, we're regulated, we have to pass criteria, we have to meet continuing education requirements, all of that. So you want to be careful. I find that sometimes insurance gets in the way of doing the right thing. Because sometimes they're like, you have to do the cheapest hearing aid. And it's like, this child's still trying to learn how to talk.
Yeah.
I can't do the cheapest hearing aid. They need a good hearing aid. Or if you have an elder in assisted living and they go to dinner with 100 people, the cheapest hearing aid might not cut it there.
I know.
So you have to really go to the patient need. So sometimes I feel like they're interfering with patient care.
Yeah.
So you go back and forth. There have been patients who've opted not to use their insurance. As for Medicare, right now there is a bill pending. Write your legislator. Right now, if you're on Medicare, you need a medical order to have a test. So I had my brothers contact my mother's primary care and ask for an order so she could see an audiologist, and the primary care refused.
Why? Is it a gag order on the doctor? Sometimes that they won't, I don't know, something.
She wasn't capitated, so I'm not really sure why the doctor wouldn't write the order. I drove to New Jersey, I picked her up, and I drove her back to Massachusetts and tested her hearing. And found out that she had a treatable form of hearing loss.
Yeah.
So she'd been running around unable to hear with her dementia getting worse and worse because she wasn't getting input. And I got her home. We got her to an ENT. The ENT treated her. Her hearing didn't go back up to normal, but it was definitely better. And she had a very bad ear infection. And my brother and the ENT went back to the primary care and kind of chewed her out and was like, you can't refuse people this. So because you need the order, there needs to be a medical reason for Medicare to cover it. You have to be dizzy. Your ears have to ring. You have to suspect a change in your hearing, change in cognition, change in memory. You can't go in, I think I need a hearing aid. That is not covered.
So the idea is just keep going with the boxes.
You need a medical reason to do the test.
Yeah.
If there's not a medical reason to do it, the patient can opt to pay. I know a lot of elders don't like to hear that.
No, they don't have the money.
But I want you to kind of think of this from the opposite. So the cost of not keeping somebody independent.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so if they don't hear the fire alarm, they don't hear the phone, they don't hear safety and warning sounds, they don't hear that thunderstorm coming in, they don't hear that tree falling on the house, or they don't hear for communication. They go to the doctor and the doctor says, take this medication 4 times a day. They take it the wrong number of times a day.
Yep.
One trip to the ER is going to cost more than a pair of hearing aids. One medical office visit is going to cost more than a hearing test. So for the cost of, 1 month in assisted living, I can more than fit the best possible hearing aids on somebody.
But what if they have no control over that? If you're on Mass Health, Medicare, whatever.
Mass Health covers it.
They cover hearing aids?
Medicaid covers hearing aids, a federal mandate.
Oh, okay.
So
All right.
Medicaid covers them. Medicare does not.
Mm-hmm.
So, this is a discussion that families have. We want to keep mom or dad out of assisted living, keep them home, keep them independent, keep their cognition going, keep activating their brain. So, you're going to spend the money one way or the other, whether you're doing the spend down to get them on Medicaid. But my thing is that why not get them hearing aids? You keep them from getting hit by a car. You keep them from being startled walking across Hannaford's parking lot. So, if you're walking across that parking lot and you're hard of hearing and you don't hear that vehicle till it's like right here, you're going to startle and fall. What happens if they fall? They get hurt. It's expensive. So we want to keep people hearing for safety, for communication, for brain health, for mental health. So all of these things to me are far more important than the cell phone that costs $800.
How would you get a cell phone?
That's what iPhones actually cost. So when you think about what people are spending on their technologies and other things, it's like, why not invest this in your mental health, your communication.
Can they work out payment plans when they really don't have it? There's no one to help them monetarily.
So a lot of times what I will end up doing, I will put them in, if it's really an issue, I'll put them in charge with their local senior center to have somebody review, do they qualify to go on to Medicaid?
Yeah.
They may not, but they may get Joe for oil, or they may get other help. So sometimes we kind of figure out that they're in worse financial trouble than people realize, and you try to get them other help. A lot of times families will do it. A lot of families are very willing to help out if the parents will allow it.
If they have the money.
If they have the money. And, again, if they don't, there's Mass Health as the option. Most offices don't do payment plans because frankly, there are so many rules governing it, we'd have to have a lawyer on staff. So what I say to people is you can put it on a credit card. There are medical credit card companies. They can have a very high interest rate, but most people can put it on. If you itemize on your taxes, depending on your exact tax situation, you might be able to itemize it. If somebody is nearing end of life, so end of life care is a big one, and you're lying down and you can't really wear the hearing aids because the pillow is knocking them out, we can get people what's called a pocket talker. They're inexpensive, and after they pass, you throw them out, or you pass them back to the hospital.
We are talking with Dr. Mary Ellen Rancourt, and she is an audiologist. Her new business over in South Grafton is Hear Joy Audiology, and any age is welcome, right? Everybody. You do the actual exam.
Yes.
And you write out the prescription?
So if an infant is under 6 months of age, they're going to have to bring me a report from either UMass or Children's or Women and Infants of their brainstem response testing, because at that point they're too young to do the testing that I'm able to do. Once they have head control and they can turn their head and control their head movement, we can do something called visual reinforcement audiometry, where we have little toys that light up and dance when they hear and they look. but they have to have head control. So I can test them over 6 months of age. I can fit their hearing aids from as soon as we get the ABR result. So I've fit babies before their due dates. I've gone into the neonatal intensive care unit where I used to work and fit the babies in the NICU before they went home.
That's amazing.
The earlier we do this, the better. Yeah. It's much easier to get a child into the routine. So it used to be we didn't find them until they were 2. Try and get a 2-year-old to do anything.
Yeah.
If I fit a baby when they're 3 months old, they're going to wear the hearing aids happily. They're going to grow up with it. And at 2, they might get a little fussy with it, like, oh, gee, what's this? But for the most part, they adapt very, very well. And if a child has the hearing loss and we get hearing aids on them and proper early intervention started by 6 months of age, they have a 75% chance of achieving normal language.
That's great.
Conversely, if it's after 6 months of age, it's 75% chance of never.
But how do
achieving.
they know when the baby's born? How do you know? I don't know if my son, I would have known that early.
1992, did you say he was born? A little too old. In Massachusetts, I think the mandate went through about 93, 94.
He just missed it. He doesn't have a problem, but I'm just thinking, what would I have done?
So all newborns now are screened. I think pretty much in all the states. And the screening is painless. We do it all before they go home. They're a nice captive audience.
Yeah.
I directed a program where they did this. So you would go in after the baby delivered, and you would do a very quick screening. You put a little plug in their ear or little electrode pads on them, and they're playing a sound in your ear, and we record a response.
Sure.
And they pass or refer. If they refer, then they get passed on to audiology, and then we do diagnostic testing in the form of measuring brainwave activity in response to sound. And it's a really good test. That test can be done under natural sleep conditions, so just naturally sleeping, till they're a few months old. After that, we may have to sedate them. So we want to get them young and early. Yeah. And, you know, if I just had somebody the other day that they waited till they were 2, they thought it would be easier. It's actually much harder. Yeah. If you send me a 9-month-old, I will get a much better test on a 9-month-old than I will on a 2-year-old. Because they don't sit very well. So we can fit hearing aids on all ages, and then we can test about 6 months old developmentally and higher.
How can people reach you?
You have a couple options. You can book online at www.hearjoyaudiology.com. You can call the office at 774-293-1515. And also on our website there is a contact box. If you didn't want to actually book online but you had a question, you can send us an email and we will get back to you very quickly.
What is your exact address now?
It's 43 Main Street, South Grafton.
Yeah. And what hours are you open?
They vary a little bit. So 8 to 4, Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, Tuesday 10 to 6, and then Friday 7:30 to 3.
Whoa, 7:30. That's early, huh?
Well, we wanted to make it so that people can see us in the morning, either before they go to work, or if you're an adult child taking care of an elder parent, you're not missing too much work, or you're bringing your little one in that you're not missing too much work and they're not missing too much school.
Oh, well, I know. Now this is being promoted over at UMass a lot. They tried it with me. It's called you look like a Borg from Star Wars, but the cochlear gizmo there?
The Baha or the cochlear implant?
What had happened was that back in '94 I'd had radiation. It wasn't cancer, but because before I got to the top surgeon there at UMass, and he could see the parotid gland, he had to take that out. He said, it came out benign, but the doctors before him, not in UMass, had gone in and invaded the space, and he said, I want you to have radiation, it's like an insurance policy. He said, I might be able to get it next time. So I had that, but years later, I started having problems with the tinnitus and then dizziness, things like that. And finally, 2013, one of the other surgeons at UMass was working with me, and I kept getting infections, and they couldn't figure out what's going on. Well, finally he took a CAT scan and he said, look at that. That's your mastoid bone.
Oh, okay.
There was no doubt I had to have surgery. Yeah. So what he did is he did a mastoidectomy, and he told my husband when he came out to the waiting room, he said it was like, I guess it just crinkled and it was just a mess.
Wow.
It was just...
Been there a long time then.
Yeah. So then they said at UMass, well, you might want a hearing aid, I could hear you fine out of here. And I went, but I went over and I got it. But they were trying to sell me, which seemed bizarre because I don't need it, but that thing that they actually implant into the side of your
So the Baja.
Yeah, the Baja.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no. So what they did is they got this little, I never wear it, I forget constantly. But it's a little thing where it's basically like a radio. I mean, there's a little part that attaches on this ear.
Yeah.
I guess it goes through the bone and then goes
Okay.
to here.
Yep.
So,
Prostate.
but I forget to use it. I mean, I really, really do. I don't know why, but I mean, that Baja thing, I'm like, you gotta be kidding. I'm not that bad.
Well, there's the love-hate relationship with cross or bicrossate. So you wear a pickup mic on the poorer ear, and it sends it to the better ear.
That's what I got, yeah. If I remember to wear it.
And it had about a 50% happiness rate. They've gotten better in recent years, so people like them better. But the idea of the Baja, they use it in cases of what they call conductive hearing loss. So where maybe you're missing those little bones, the mastoiditis. And the other thing is single-sided deafness. So the idea is the sound picks up on this side and transmits it through your head. Yeah. And the sound quality is a little different than what you're getting naturally, which tells you, okay, it must be over here. It actually works very well. And I know a lot of people are reluctant to do it.
Looks awful, I'm honest. It just,
Well, now, so when they demonstrate it for you, they put it on a band. When you actually have it implanted, it's under your hair, and people don't usually really see them that much.
I've seen it peeking out from the girl's hair.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, and it's like in a guy, it's like he has a growth hanging out of his head. Ooh.
But they are marvelous devices. So a lot of, there are children who have many different syndromes. They're born without an ear opening, burn victims, people who lose the outer part of their ear, and we can't put a conventional hearing aid on there.
Right.
The Baja is a phenomenal improvement over what our option was. So you can either wear it on a band till age 5, and then after the age of 5 it can be implanted. And it's what it is, there's a little abutment under the surface of the skin, and then it just connects on there.
What's a band? Why did they offer the grown-ups that? Can you take it
can be on a band for an adult.
Oh, like on a hairband?
Yeah, so I didn't actually bring one with me, but it goes on a little band, and you just position it there. And do you remember when you had the hearing test, you had the device on the back of your ear with the band that came over? It was kind of tight.
Yeah.
They can put it on one of those bands as well. It's kind of uncomfortable.
And you cover it up with your hair if you want to. That sounds a lot better to me. And but they offer
It's the same device, though.
Yeah, but you can take it off.
Oh, true. Well, the other device you can take off as well.
Yeah, but it's like screwed into your head. You got to unscrew it.
No, it's not screwed. It's like a friction fit. It just
almost like a
pops on and then it comes off.
Oh, yeah, but they could have. All right. Well, it still looks like it's embedded. You got to have surgery, right? And they go.
Well, unless you keep it on the band.
Yeah.
So if they're under the age of 5, they can't have the surgery. They have to wait until the skull grows. And the kids who wear it on the band like it. I've had a number of kids on my caseload, like with Treacher-Collins syndrome and other things, where they have so many surgeries, and they're like, no more surgeries, I'm done. But they wear it on the band permanently, and they like it because they can move it around and their head doesn't get sore like it did with the old ones. So it's a huge improvement over what we used to have.
You've worked up in Boston at Mass Eye and Ear. That's a great place. From what I mean, it's really, really good. UMass, and we're lucky. It's close by. Fantastic audiology ENT. But if you're so inclined, go on up to Mass Eye and Ear. Did you enjoy it there?
I learned so much there. I got to go in the operating room. I got to observe cochlear implant surgeries. We could go to lectures with the people who wrote the textbooks. And so I learned a lot. It was an awesome experience. And working in Boston when you're 25 is a lot of fun. So it was a great experience. And my friend Desperson now is an audiologist that I worked with at the Eye and Ear. We've remained friends for 30 years. And she now runs my front desk. Her name's Shelley. She's awesome. When we test the little ones, she comes in and she co-tests. So she didn't keep up her audiology license, but she can still come in and co-test little ones with me and help out. And we've enjoyed it. So for, good friendships made 30 years ago, and there are people I still keep in touch with. Great. You just meet a lot of people. So many of us go through the Eye and Ear. It's such a training ground, and it definitely opens up doors, and you learn.
You were 25 when you went there.
Yeah, 25, 26, yeah.
She's fantastic. Again, Dr. Mary Ellen Rancourt, and she is an audiologist. She's got a practice right over in South Grafton. Hear Joy Audiology, and it's on, it's Main Street, but I call it 122A.
122A.
122A. If you know where Colette Motors is, just keep going. It's in that little plaza there. Are you on the end, the middle? Where are you? The bank is still on the end, right?
No, I'm in the bank space.
Oh, the bank is gone. Wasn't that Unibank?
No, that was Milford or Millbury
Milford,
Credit Union.
So they left.
They're around the corner now, I
Okay.
believe. I believe they went around the corner. They built a new building around the corner.
Oh, I don't. Okay, so you're right where they. That's good. You've got that whole end.
Yeah, the two storefronts, and they left a beautiful office space, so we were able to just pretty much move in.
Yeah.
They left it really, really in good condition, so we were able to invest in the equipment that directly impacts the patient.
Right.
Rather than a build-out,
Yeah.
I focused everything on the quality of the equipment, the quality of everything that we use to test, and not the physical space. So we were very fortunate to find good space.
Awesome. Where were you before you came up here?
I was working in a private practice up in Marlboro briefly, and then before that I was working for a hearing aid company and commuting to New Jersey to help take care of my mom.
You were commuting from here?
Yeah.
To New Jersey?
Yeah.
To take care of your mom?
Yeah. So after she passed, I'm like, I'm done. I'm hanging up my roller bag.
Was she the, oh, you said you had a lady walk into your office in South Grafton, 103?
We've had couple of people over 100 years of age, and they're so vibrant, and it's like, let's get them hearing. They have so many great stories to tell.
How did they get that far and not have a hearing aid?
You know, I think a lot of it is the stubborn. I'm not spending the money, and now it's like, your grandkids want to talk with you. They want to enjoy you. You want to hear it. We want to pass those stories on.
I know my grandfather, he used to drive us nuts. He would turn it down. He'd try to talk with him. He goes, wait a minute.
I'm going to turn it up.
Turn it up. He would do that because he couldn't stand the clashing in the kitchen.
Because the old-fashioned hearing aids had a tough sound quality.
Oh.
The sound quality of them now is so much better. They're controlled. You can control it with your cell phone if you want. You can do all sorts of cool stuff. They've come a long way.
So if you want an audiologist, you're having a hearing problem, and somebody else you know, see Dr. Mary Ellen Rancourt. She's over in South Grafton. One more time. What's your phone number over there?
774-293-1515.
And do you take insurances for these exams?
We do. So again, if you have Medicare, you need a physician's order, which if you call the office, we'll explain to you kind of what that means. And then some of the insurances, you do need a referral. A couple of our credentialing are still pending with a couple of the insurances,
Good.
but they're slowly but surely all coming
And you
in.
take Medicaid, Mass Health.
We do, yes.
Okay, I know there's a lot of good people out there that have that. And you know what? It's one of the best coverage that there is. You wouldn't think. But it is. The only thing they fall down on a little bit is that dental. I saw a friend of mine, she was on Mass Health. I saw her one day, she was missing off her front teeth. I went, what the heck happened to you?
Oh.
Though they won't fill, or they won't
Cover?
put crowns on, they won't do anything like that.
Oh.
So she said they pulled them. That was my only choice. I'm like,
Ouch.
you gotta be kidding me.
Wow.
Well, I would have taken that right to Boston. That you don't do that to someone.
Ow.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're very strict about what they can and can't cover, and, you do definitely have to follow the rules.
Well, this has been great. We should have you back on again. Maybe this summer, huh?
Anytime, I'd love to.
Thank you for being
Thank
doctor
you.
with us. We'll see you next time. I'll be my guest.
Riding on a shooting star, heading out toward a dream. Tomorrow's even closer than it seems. Moving through the cloud